All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying taking place from the Texas Motor Speedway for this weekend's running of the Wurth 400. As we kickstart the next NASCAR race weekend for the Cup Series, coming off of Talladega a week ago, an off week before that. So our first non-super speedway since the week off, in the first mile and a half track that we have seen on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule over the last couple of races. So actually I have to go back to Las Vegas, which was race number 5 on the season, to the last 1.5 mile, or sorry, actually Homestead Miami Speedway, which was the last 1.5 mile traditional mile and a half racetrack on the circuit. Practice is just now beginning. Cars have actually just hit the racetrack. Nobody has completed a lap, as they are still mostly on their warm-ups after leaving pit road. And as you see on our screen, obviously Group A of the practice session, and those 18 drivers will be on track first. 19, actually. 38 car field this weekend. 2 open entries and the usual 36 charter teams are starting. Once again, if you weren't tuned in last night during our Craftsman Truck Series race commentary, we've got a little bit different of a setup compared to most usual weeks with our leaderboard, using the NASCAR mobile app rather than NASCAR.com. And I'm screencasting the live leaderboard that you would see right now for practice. Same for the Xfinity Series race a little bit later on this afternoon. I did try to widen the image out, but for some reason I'm not able to get the horizontal version of the live leaderboard. And there's no raw feed available specifically for practice and qualifying like there is for the races. So try to give it one last shot again later today for when the Xfinity Series will take their turn to Texas. This is the only practice and qualifying session this weekend across all 3 series. Rained out yesterday for Xfinity and Truck Series practice and qualifying. And this is the first time we've seen any cars on track today. That Xfinity race will start at 2 p.m. Eastern a few hours from now. AJ Allmendinger already has set the fastest lap in Group 1 of practice. Of the 17 drivers who have completed a lap, 2 more drivers, Zane Smith and Chase Elliott, who are supposed to be in Group 1, have not hit the racetrack yet. 28.38 was the fast lap for AJ Allmendinger. Josh Berry is currently scored in second with a 28.44. Eric Jones third, Justin Haley fourth, and John Hernimacek rounds out the top 5 in 5th. Based off of what the chat in the comment section was like last night after the Truck Series race, during the Truck Series race, it seems like if you are viewing this stream from your phone on YouTube, then visually everything looks to be pretty good as far as how wide the imagery is on the screen with the live leaderboard from the NASCAR mobile app, or as everything that might be taking place if you're watching me from your TV, laptop. The imagery isn't quite as wide. Live timing and scoring is still the same as when the race leader gets to the start-finish line for the next lap during the course of the race. All that statistical analysis will change from one to the next. Got our first interview of the practice session. Austin Cindric is standing with Regan Smith.
Pretty tricky. The green super narrow, especially this early in the weekend with not a lot of rubber, not a lot of laps. So just take an eye on pace and qualify in mind, because that'll be pretty important for tomorrow.
All right, good luck in practice. Larry Mack, what do you got for us?
Well, Regan is the racer. Racers love to be on the racetrack. They love practice. This practice can be a little deceiving. You got to be careful. He just turned 60 degrees. His mom has that. Every kid that talk about fast. This thing has a ton of grip this morning. You got to be out there practicing. You have to learn what you need to be adjusting. But you also, after this practice, I've talked to a lot of crew chiefs. You have to take the information, look back at last year's race pace, and make adjustments. If you don't, the first thing you'll hear tomorrow is the driver say, "What did you do to my race car?"
Just over 5 minutes have already been completed in the 25-minute Group 1. No real rubber laid in on the racetrack so far today, so it's going to be tough to gauge whether or not the Group B drivers will be faster than Group number 1. As for Group 2, though, they are very stacked by way of who will be in that group compared to Group 1, so there could be some promise on that side of things. Drivers to watch out for, in my opinion, at least from this first group, Ryan Blaney, who hasn't won a points-paying race at Texas, but he did win the All-Star race back in 2022 with the next-gen car. Led quite a few laps that race. Joey Logano, a 3-time winner at the Texas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch has won a couple of times, though, prior to the next-gen car for both of those two. Christopher Bell in this group has finished in the top 3 a few times. His best finish is third twice, which came in his NASCAR Cup Series career. He's had 3 top 5s in the last few races at Texas as well. And all 19 drivers have made a lap now in this session. We're waiting on a couple others to make their lap. Their first one, that is, Chris Buescher. Just completed his first lap. He is currently 17th. But because he got out of the racetrack when it was green, his top time is not going to be as fast as what his teammate Brad Keselowski in 6th was. We'll have to see if he maybe moves up the leaderboard at least a little bit. His second lap was quicker, 28.88. He jumps into the top 10 to position number 10. It's a little bit better than what it was. And Jesse Love has completed 6 laps now in the 62 for Beard Motorsports. We haven't seen Beard Motorsports run a non-super speedway race in a very long time, so I'm interested to see what Jesse Love could do in that 62 machine. It's going to be the second career Cup start for Jesse Love this weekend. His first was at Bristol a couple of races ago, though that was in a third RCR entry in the number 33 that weekend. He did complete all the laps that he could. He didn't finish on the lead lap, but he did finish the race. Stayed out of trouble. Qualified relatively well. He qualified in the top half of the field. But again, interested to see at least what that team's got for speed when we get into the race tomorrow. Best 10-lap average so far of Group 1, Ryan Blaney, 28.9 flat, 29.0 for Brad Keselowski. Eric Jones, 3rd. Joey Logano, 4th. John Hunter Nemechek, 5th. Of Group 1, again, for the 10-lap average. Those are the top 5. No surprise to see Ryan Blaney have a fast, long-run car. That has been the case on a lot of these mile-and-a-half tracks so far this season. Homestead and Las Vegas, he pretty much hands down had the fastest long-run car. Didn't get great finishes in both those races. Had 2 DNFs. He finished 35th and 36th. The 35th at Las Vegas, he got in a crash while running in the top 5 in the closing laps. Miami, arguably, he had the best car of that race. Had as much of a 12-second lead at one point in that race. And running in 3rd place, gunning down on the 2 drivers ahead of him in the final 70-80 laps. Engine failure causing that DNF. Speaking of DNFs, he just had his 4th DNF of the season last weekend at Talladega, where he had wrecked out early. But the speed has definitely been there for the 12. As for some of the other teams that have struggled out of the gate this year, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, the speed hasn't necessarily been there on a consistent basis. Kyle Busch does have 4 top 10s this season, which matches Ryan Blaney, but only 1 top 5, which came at COTA on the only road course race of the season. He has yet to score a top 5 on an oval. Brad Keselowski has yet to score a single top 10 on the season, but he does come into this race this weekend having the longest active streak of any other driver to score a top 10 finish at the Texas Motor Speedway, which is 6 straight. So if Brad Keselowski is to turn it around and at least get a top 10 run for the first time in 2025, it could very well be here this weekend at Texas. He's never won at Texas Motor Speedway, but he has finished in the 2nd place position 4 times, including last year with the Next Gen, where he finished runner-up in 2024. And Joey Logano, 2 top 10 finishes this year, still yet to score his first top 5. He is still in the top 5 in laps led on the season. but definitely has some work to get done. It kind of seems like a very similar start to how Logano had last season. First half of the year, he was hovering around 15, 16 points. He got the win at Nashville, took a lot of pressure off. Was able to qualify for the playoffs. When the playoffs began, it was win or bust, and he was able to win in 3 of the 4 rounds, including the championship race, obviously, at Phoenix, where he was able to win his 3rd career NASCAR Cup Series championship. Shoutouts to those of you watching in the chat. Got Bam Hall, welcome back. Frank Powers, Matthew Dorda, Bruno, and others, welcome into the stream. Light goal is going to be 50 for today. Just as it was last night during the Craftsman Truck Series race. Almost halfway through the practice session so far. For Group 1 specifically, 25 minutes. We're down to about 13 and a half minutes remaining. Single car qualifying will begin immediately after the, in total, 50 minutes of practice. We'll see 25 minutes for each group. Again, 19 cars in each group. Nothing has changed on the leaderboard for a while. Chris Buescher did jump up to 7th. I'm actually surprised he ran as quick as his teammate Keselowski, despite the fact, that he was the last driver on the racetrack in this session to turn a lap, but he did end up running a 28.69, which goes to the same 100th of a second his teammate Keselowski in front of him is. And now they're running real close to one another on the racetrack. Keselowski going to let his teammate, who has slightly fresher tires, go. He'll fall in line in the dirty air just behind him. Buescher looking pretty sporty. He has yet to score a top 10 at Texas in his career. This is his home track. Buescher, a native of Prosper, Texas. But his home track has definitely not been too kind to him, even in recent years with the uptake in equipment level at RFK. AJ Allmendinger has 2 career top 10 finishes, both 10th place runs at the Texas Motor Speedway, so looking good out of the gate in practice. And the first 2 traditional mile-and-a-half tracks, he did score a top 10 in both races, where he finished 8th at Las Vegas and 7th at Homestead. Those a lot more low-grip racetracks compared to Texas. This track has a lot more grip than those 2. Not going to see as much tire fall off, a lot faster mid-corner speeds, so that can make for a little bit different of a run for AJ this weekend, but out of the gate, he's looking pretty quick. Can't be any quicker than first on the leaderboard. 28.38 is ridiculously fast, by the way, for a mile-and-a-half track, especially at this next-gen car. Some of the faster laps were in the mid to high 29s in the practice and qualifying sessions at Las Vegas, for instance. Homestead wasn't going to have anywhere near that kind of grip with the very, very much lack of grip that track holds. Older asphalt, last repaved back in 2002. Last repaved and reconfigured here at Texas in 2017. Primarily a one-groove racetrack, especially in turns 1 and 2, which holds 20 degrees of banking, compared to turns 3 and 4, a little bit more progressive, 24 degrees. But even in that truck race last night, if you had seen passes on the outside, it was very narrow on both ends of the racetrack. Even still, there is no PJ1 or traction compound for this weekend at Texas like we have seen in certain years. They did not have that for the next gen or Cup Series race weekend last year, as well. So a lot of the very similar track conditions to what we saw a year ago here in Fort Worth. Wade, welcome into the stream. Terry Hall, welcome as well. Wade, when you were in the chat last night, it completely backfired on me. I know with you being a Tigers fan, I was actually at the Detroit Tigers game Wednesday in Houston. Forgot to mention that during the Truck Series race last night. Wanted to make sure if I saw you in the chat today, I was going to throw that out there. Zane Smith got his first career pole last weekend at Talladega. He's top 10 in practice here at Texas so far this weekend. He had a pretty quick car throughout the course of that race. One of the few drivers who were actually able to push another one forward to really get a line moving when another line had gotten more broken up. We didn't see that a lot throughout the course of the race last weekend. At least I didn't from my grandstand seat. It was really hard to tell exactly who might have had the faster car or faster cars by way of team in the race. Penske did not dominate at Talladega like they did the two super speedway drafting ovals before that at Atlanta and Daytona at the start of the season. I thought the Toyotas had quite a bit of speed. They were working well as a unit. At times, some of the Hendrick cars were able to get some pushes going and move a line forward as well. And I don't really think I noticed the 22 of a Joey Logano that we would usually see. Austin Cindric, who did win the race, be able to really control things throughout the course of the event. I'd almost argue that Ryan Preece probably had the fastest car in that event. Obviously, when we found out after the fact that both Joey Logano and Ryan Preece, who had top 5 finishes, failed post-race inspection, therefore getting disqualified, that might not have ended up ultimately being the case in hindsight. But Preece was able to push some cars forward early on. We didn't really see him up towards the front again until late. And now, speaking of which, they are highlighting Ryan Preece currently on screen. 26th at Darlington, 20th at Bristol, 38th at Talladega, the last 3 races for Ryan Preece. He's up in the top 16 in points for quite some time before that. Speaking of which, we'll actually take a look at the point standings right now. And I'll show you on this screen. I wasn't doing that yesterday, but I figured, why not show you from my phone instead. So these are the current drivers' standings coming into this weekend's race at Texas. Regular season standings specifically. William Byron's 31 points up on Kyle Larson, 52 points ahead of Denny Hamlin in third, and he's gotten over a race worth of points ahead of Chase Elliott in fourth, who is minus 72 to his teammate. Christopher Bell rounds out the top 5 in points. He's 82 back. Tyler Reddick is 86 back in 6th. Then you have Bubba Wallace in 7th. Ryan Blaney 8th. Alex Bowman 9th. Ross Chastain rounds out the top 10. The drivers who are locked into the playoffs with at least one win. We've had 6 different winners so far this season. 3 for Christopher Bell, 2 for Denny Hamlin, 2 for Kyle Larson, and then we have 1 apiece for William Byron, Austin Cindric now, and Josh Berry. Highest on the points side of things in the standings would be Chase Elliott, who again is top 5 overall. He'd be 7th on the playoff grid. He has 107 points to the good, plus 93 for Tyler Reddick. Bubba Wallace is plus 86 in 9th. Ryan Blaney 10th is plus 66. Plus 64 for Alex Bowman, and then a lot of wealth through the drivers just outside the top 16. Ross Chastain is plus 36, same for Joey Logano in 13th. 14th, plus 25 for Chase Briscoe. Chris Buescher, plus 20. And how about AJ Allmendinger, plus 6. Fastest in practice today. A top 10 in the first 2.5-mile tracks this season, trying to go 3 for 3. We'll see if he can keep the good times rolling. He had a good run last week, and I believe he finished in the top 10 at Talladega as well. Kyle Busch, who wrecked out early in that race, was actually in the top 16 in points, fell out of it with the early wreck. He didn't really score any stage points. Tough weekend all the way around for Busch. He is minus 6 points. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has been impressive so far this season. 18th in the standings through the first 9 races. He is minus 7. Ryan Preece is minus 14. Michael McDowell is 20th in points, minus 15. Sophomore driver Carson Hocevar, minus 21. Ty Gibbs has really pulled himself out of it. He was outside the top 30 for the longest time to start the points season. He's now only 25 back at 22nd. Zane Smith, who I mentioned had his first career pole last weekend, is 23rd. Austin Dillon, 24th in points. So that is an update on the current point standings for the season. And we'll go back to that live leaderboard now. 28.389 is still the fastest lap for Allmendinger. That's going to hold as we're in this Group 1 practice. We'll see if anybody from Group 2 will be able to top that when those drivers hit the racetrack. Less than 5 minutes to go now in Group 1 with where we stand. Just realized the walls are back to white. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize that was that big of a deal that they had the blue walls there for a long time, and then they ended up painting them back to white for this weekend. I saw that post yesterday on another YouTube channel for somebody who's actually already at Texas Motor Speedway. I won't be leaving there until tomorrow morning. Once again, a reminder, there will be some race highlights from the grandstands uploaded to the channel for the course of the race tomorrow afternoon. Our usual live commentary streams obviously rolling right now, and as well at 2 p.m. Eastern for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. For the last 3.5 minutes of Group 1 practice, I'll let you listen into the broadcast. Obviously on the Amazon Prime booth, we have Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer.
In general, you look at on there on top of the board, there's been a massive improvement with these two cars as they've gone through the season, and a lot of that is just processes. And you talk about the inspection piece of it and all the details that go with it. Sometimes you get lost on those little details, and you change one thing and then something else is different when you push it back over there the next time. The details of this collar team are really starting to move the needle.
I'm going to tell you my opinion. I think highly of him. Tied horse. He moved over there from Tri-Cows. He moved from Tri-Cows from MWR when they were running good. Before that, he's a DEI when they ran good. That guy gets results. I don't know how he does it. He's got a knack for bringing sponsorship, and we all know money makes cars go fast.
So Doug Joey's in the AAA car this week, but he's carrying the Hunt Brothers Pizza onboard camera for us at Fox. One thing I'm very impressed in at this racetrack is all of the sponsor activation outside the track, surrounding the stadium and the gates here. AAA, for example, has a huge display, almost as big as the U.S. Army's. Looks like they're getting ready to invade Denton out there. They got enough equipment.
I like where you're going there, Mike, and I saw it as soon as I landed and came in here yesterday. The vibe is as positive and as good as I've seen it at Texas Motor Speedway in a long time. A lot of signage outside, a lot of new partners. Just walked down through the midway out front. It's packed. Walked through the suites, and they look good. The infield's packed. Good weekend ahead here at Texas Motor Speedway.
That's a good looking car right there. We've seen 7-Eleven on this property for a long time and done a lot of activation here. Now you see him on the side of Kyle Busch's car. So great to see those colors on the racetrack.
You see that logo on the hood? Who do you think of first off?
Alan Poyer.
Slurpee. I'm thinking Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Kyle Petty debuted that 7-Eleven just like that on his number 7 car. And NASCAR would not let them use that logo on the door because the 11 bisected the 7, and you can't have anything interfere with the car number. There was a big fight over that, but it all got resolved. They still ran car number 7. They put the logo other places. But yeah, that was my first thought. Of course, it was Pontiac then. That was a long time ago. Kyle Petty charity ride getting kicked off. So Kevin yesterday got a Speedway, and what were they telling you yesterday about ticket sales?
Sales were as good as they've been in about 15 years. So, this has always been a massive market for our sponsors. And every time you come to Texas Motor Speedway, it's always it seems like there's just a little more flair, a little bigger event with things that just on a larger scale than most places that you go. And people, sponsors and companies love the Texas Motor Speedway. And it's great to hear that the fans are going to show up in big numbers this weekend.
Great. Yeah. I think more sponsor displays outside this track than I've seen anywhere this season, and that includes Daytona.
Yeah, I think you're right.
AJ Allmendinger fastest, Josh Berry second. on the individual lap, both on their second lap around. Allmendinger ran 25 laps. Berry ran 34.
All right, so Group 1 practice has concluded. Again, A.J. Allmendinger with the fast lap of a 28.389 as we wrap up this first 25 minutes. Have their 25 minutes coming up on the other side of the commercial break, which is currently airing on Amazon Prime Video. We'll look at the lap averages for this first group. Fastest 5-lap average goes to A.J. Allmendinger. Trying to click on the 10, and I'm having difficulty with it. It'll be a little bit delayed. Whoops. Nope. End of the stream. Don't want to do that. Ryan Blaney with the fastest 10-lap average as we had seen earlier in the run. Fastest 15-lap average goes to Chris Buescher, who again was the last driver to go out and make any laps. 29.114 on his 20-lap average. Joey Logano with the fastest 25-lap average. Only 7 drivers made at least a 25-lap run for Group 1. Josh Berry of 2 drivers, him and Brad Keselowski, would have had the fastest 30-lap average of the first 19 cars to hit the racetrack. So that's an update on what has happened so far in Group 1 practice. No incidences to record as we went caution-free, and we'll have to see if we go caution-free in Group 2 as well. Cooler track temperatures with it still being morning local time at the Texas Motor Speedway, about 10 a.m. local. Earliest practice session that we have seen so far this season across all 3 series. Quite surprising, Xfinity race is starting as early today as it is. Consider the fact that the Cup Series race tomorrow starts just after 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and I think the Xfinity race today will start at 3 p.m. Eastern, or 2 p.m. Eastern. An hour and a half earlier for a much shorter race. 200-lap, 300-mile Xfinity race compared to the 267-lap Cup race tomorrow. Which will be a 400-mile distance. We'll take our first break of the stream. You're listening live on KRC to the NASCAR Cup Series practice session for the Wurth 400 at Texas Motor Speedway. Almost 0.06 of a second quicker for A.J. Allmendinger's fastest lap in comparison to Josh Berry. And Regan Smith is standing with our Group 1 leader, A.J. Allmendinger.
Full laps. It wasn't too bad. It's this place, as we were joking during commercial, it's kind of, I'm shaking still. It's fast, but I think we can fine tune it in the long run. We can make small improvements, but this place will change a lot as it gets warmer. But the good thing is the leaf gutter protection Chevy is fast on 1 lap. We know it's got speed, so now we just got to do it for 400 miles.
You showed us that you were shaking just a little bit when you got out of the car. In qualifying here in a little bit, you're going to have to go out there and find even more speed. How do you describe the sensation of trying to go faster on this place?
Well, as you heard me trying to say leaf filter gutter protection, I'm still shaking from it. So just go hold my breath for 1 lap and hope it sticks.
All right, good luck holding your breath. That could be a lot of seconds there, Mike, to hold the breath, but he's going to try.
All right. One incident during Group 1 practice, it was Shane Van Gisbergen, and there is the right front. There's the result. The right rear also got abraded off turn 2.
Yeah, and you can really, we talked about this earlier, that car takes off, and it's so hard. You see him barely just scrape the wall right there. You can't get it back. And you see the tire marks on the wall right here. But really, when you go to a racetrack, just always pay attention to this wall. You see how it goes up, and you see the racetrack get wider. You can tell where the swells in the racetrack are, but you can really see how that banking just dumps out of the corner, and that's why those cars get tight.
Beautiful day in Texas. Wind out of the west, out of the north that is, and it's getting warmer by the minute here as we await Group 2.
Welcome.
See, that's one thing with having qualifying in the morning. When we do get to it, we're probably going to see a lot harder ability for the drivers later in the run to lay down a faster lap compared to drivers earlier in the run. As the track temps continue to rise up, the track is going to get slicker. It's not going to have as much grip. And a lap's time from start to finish of qualifying is going to be around 45 minutes, give or take, which is quite the big difference, especially in the Texas sun. So AJ Allmendinger ran 25 laps. Most laps ran of anybody from Group 1. Joey Logano put down 38 laps on his session continuously. Least amount of laps that were ran in that session was 24 for Ryan Preece in the 60. Again, Amazon Prime Video on another commercial break. Before Group 2 will have their 25-minute practice session. Track cleanup continues, so I guess Shane Van Gisbergen had gotten up against the wall off of Turn 2. Didn't warrant any cautions. But went a bit wide up off the exit of the corner, scraped the wall slightly. SVG 17th of 19 of the Group 1 drivers on the speed charts. Once more, your top 10 as of Group 1. AJ Allmendinger first, Josh Berry second, Eric Jones third, Justin Haley fourth, John Hunter Nemechek fifth, Brad Keselowski sixth, Chris Buescher seventh, Ryan Blaney eighth, Christopher Bell ninth, Zane Smith rounds out the top 10. All three RFK Fords were in that group. Two of the Penske Fords plus their affiliate from the Wood Brothers were in Group 1. We're going to see a lot more Chevys and most of the Toyotas in Group 2. Christopher Bell was in that group for JGR. The other three will be in the next group. Only one of the 2311 Toyotas, which was Riley Herbst, and both the Legacy Motor Club Toyotas of the Camrys were in Group 1. Even AJ was the only college Chevrolet. His teammate Ty Dillon will be in Group 2 as well. Again, that 16 car has had some great speed on the mile-and-a-half tracks this season, so it might not be surprising if he has another good run upcoming. Earl Arnold Jr., Trainskate 1025, welcome to the stream. Why does Kyle Busch have the old 2022 font? No idea. 2022 RCR 8-car font, is that what you mean? No idea. Do a video going over the Fantasy League standings? Sure. I can highlight that during the course of the stream at some point, too. Probably wait till the end of practice since Group 2 is about to begin here shortly. I'll let you listen into a little bit more of the broadcast side of things, then we'll probably highlight the Fantasy League maybe in the middle of it before we get to the very end of practice. While we're still waiting around, we'll take another break and get to things shortly. Again, Wurth 400 practice continues for the NASCAR Cup Series.
Extremely fast. Nope, did not like that. Almost crashed. Come in. We're going to make a change here. Go back out extremely fast. Falling back off. Guys, what in the heck have you done to my race car? We're going to go back out tomorrow on Sunday. You know it. He'll be down here somewhere. He'll be fast. We just got to finish. We got to get over here, Kevin, with that 12 car. That's where he's got to get.
Yeah, and we know it's going to be fast. They have a good way of figuring out how to make their car turn and make some good speed out of it.
I feel like I get confused more and more every time I do that, but hopefully that makes sense to you. This group, I want to see who goes out, who's happy with their race car. We've heard these drivers, they're loose in 3 and 4. That's to try to get through the exit at turn 2. You have to have it neutral to free over there in 1 and 2. You get to 3 and 4, a lot faster corner, and that thing can come out from underneath that you're in a hurry. Give a little in one corner to be good in the other. That's the corner. That's the money corner. That's being 1 and 2. You have to make your passes. The cars are going to get tight in the center. And when they do, you put the pressure on them, get underneath of them, complete the pass down in 3.
And this group, they know the pace. I don't believe. Well, I do believe. I believe that they'll have made some adjustments, but in their mind, they know what they need to do from a throttle standpoint. They know the track grip, and now they want all the data, right? These guys have seen all the data and gone through all their teammate stuff and understand where they are. So they always feel a little more comfortable than the first group. But this racetrack is very temperature sensitive, and you know that, especially for that fast lap. When it starts getting warmer like it is today at a rapid pace, this racetrack slows down quick.
I can build my fantasy team, and I want this car on it. William Byron has finished top 3 in 3 of the last 4 Texas races, including a win, and he's been in the top 10 in 10 of the last 20 races on 1.5-mile tracks. That, to me, that's a no-brainer.
He's always a no-brainer if you're a betting man. I think he's just always there quietly. Just gets the job done. Don't really hear much out of him. You look over your shoulder at the end of the race. So we better pay attention to the 24 car. He's fixing to win.
And that's where he cycled out in practice. It's going to get an interesting read because of being in traffic, but he definitely knows how to show up at the end of these races. And when he's not winning, he's getting top 5s, and his average finish at 6.25. That's 40. That shows you the consistency that this race team has on these 1.5-mile racetracks.
I love the looks of this race car, all of them. I saw the dragster. I saw the sprint car. They've all been gold this week, 100th anniversary of Napa. Good-looking race cars all across the board.
Was that Ron Cap's car?
Cap, yes.
Look great. And the sprint car as well.
Yep. Sweetie. Well, they're racing across on the backstretch. Brad Sweet, he'll be over there giving them hell.
All right, let me clean this up. Kyle Larson won a race last week at Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Well, when I was calling sprint car races, Jack Speedway was in Florida. Now they race at Jacksonville, Illinois. Did not know that.
It's all right, Mike. You know a lot of other things.
Well, I was going to say, the good thing for you, Mike, is you're not wrong very much, and sitting next to us, we're always wrong. So
Stop it.
We're just going to follow you.
Yeah.
Sounds
We're
good.
going to go with it.
I was going to say, just correct me. Okay.
Hey, speaking of not wrong, how about Kyle Larson, second at Talladega? There it is right there. Finally got him a top 5. Unbelievable. I thought he was going to win there for a minute. I think he did. May have if he would have went for it. Those 3 Hendrick cars lined up behind them 2 Fords, and they just followed him around there. Old Clint had to call Jeff on Monday and ask him what happened there. He got pretty quiet.
Yeah, I kept waiting that last lap for one of those cars to break out, but if he had, none of his Chevy stablemates could get up to the high side with him, so it would have been advanced to the rear.
I thought Byron off the 3, he had some momentum and he had Bowman behind him for a pusher. He looked like he was going to take it. He kind of stalled out right as he got to the rear bumper and just thought better of it. Never formulated another opportunity there. You can see him backing it up, trying to form that gap and get a run on him. But those first 2 cars just did a great job of managing that. Austin Cindric, he's always there. We kind of forget about him on those racetracks, but you shouldn't, because he's always right there up front when the time's right.
Carson Savard, 10th in this race last year.
Yeah, well, he's fast today. You see him up on top of the board. We've seen this at a number of different racetracks that they've been able to make good speed. So both of these fire cars are running fast today. Michael McDowell in 5th, the 3rd one. So these cars definitely have speed in them. Now they just got to figure out how to do the rest of it for the whole day. They've got the speed part figured out.
Well, when the competition level in this Cup Series, there's so many layers to getting that figured out and getting to the finish line. Whether it's pay-per-views, it's the strategy of the race. It's a race falling your way, the track position, qualifying. There's so many things other than just unloading with that sheer takeoff speed where you get a qualifying lap in. Getting that thing to the goal line is very, very difficult, especially consistently with the depth of the organizations we have in NASCAR.
Yeah, you see Michael McDowell here. Every year we come here, he's definitely on the highlight reel thing. I saw it. That wreck that he had in qualifying that year was just absolutely massive.
No thanks.
That's it qualifying. For those of you who have not seen this accident, but went in there, got loose, overcorrected, that car shot to the right, and just an absolutely
there, and he walked away.
I was one of the next cars to go out. I mean, I was already dialed in. It slowed me down more than it's probably I was ready, more than I was going to do on my own. Yeah, I think I started 50th that day.
Well, McDowell needs a turnaround on the mile-and-a-half tracks. Only one top 10 finish in his last 20 mile-and-a-half track starts.
Yeah, and another guy that's on a new team, new organization. But this guy right here, Austin Cindric, he put it all together last week. Been in the mix, like you were talking, Clint. He's been in the mix at those speedways and even other places so much, and just not able to finish the deal. Last week they finished the deal. I thought Regan Smith was not going to be able to give his interview afterwards. He punched him in the chest like I've never seen somebody be punched before in an interview. But
Well, I think it's Penske. I'm watching it.
picked him up. He was Austin. I love the emotion that Austin showed last week. Shows you how much these guys care about what they do.
So much of the Penske organization is swallowed up.
Here we go.
Boom! Boom! How about that? By Logano and Blaney.
Oh, look at Regan. He's backpedaling. Oh, that hurt. Now I got to interview him.
There he is.
I got home and I had a bruise on my shoulder. My wife asked me, "Where did you get a bruise from?" I said, "Did you not watch Victory Lane in the race?" She said, "I saw that. You bruised that easily." I was sore all week. And Kevin, yes, the old age that you pointed out on the broadcast, that may have been a factor. But I do want to remind you, though, you are older than me, so keep that in mind.
It wasn't your fault, though, Regan. He's got, what's he have? Probably 1.5 feet more reach than you. That's not fair.
Especially when you're not ready to be punched like that. Yes, I am older than him, but I feel like I might be tougher than you.
And there was no way to Clint's point about getting away from that reach. There was no way I was getting away from. I saw the look in his eye when he got out of the car. He was so excited that I knew he was on his way. I'm like, oh boy, this might get big in a moment.
But here's the interesting stat. All right, you got Joey Logano on that team. You got Ryan Blaney, and you got Austin Cindric. That was a hard hit. You could be forgiven for thinking that Cindric is the third driver on that 3-car team.
That's what I was going.
However, in 3 of the last 4 years, who's got the first win for Team Penske? Austin Cindric, first one of the season.
Yeah, and then you add the Wood brothers to that equation with the Josh Berry win. I mean, that's what I was going about earlier. Is Blaney, so much of the Penske organization and the focus for us and our jobs is on Logano and Blaney, but those other two, they're all together the reason that they have this.
Well, it's look at this stat right here. I mean, you probably think the same thing of Alex Bowman, right? Like, you would probably put him fourth in line at Hendrick, but he has the results at a lot of these racetracks to think otherwise. And he's not as boastful, he's not as flashy as his other 3 teammates, but 7 straight top 10 finishes on mile-and-a-half tracks.
Part of the equation for sure.
All 4 of the Hendrick cars are in Group 2, and again, the group is set by the metric. Last race finish.
We'll go over the current practice leaderboard. Carson Hocevar in Group number 2 has reached to the top of the speed charts overall, faster than the time that was put down from Group 1 from AJ Allmendinger by almost exactly 1/100th of a second. 28.28. 28.288 for Carson Hocevar is the fastest lap. AJ Allmendinger still scored in second, Noah Gragson third, Kyle Larson fourth, and now Michael McDowell rounds out the top 5 and 5th. Josh Berry is 6th, Alex Bowman 7th, Tyler Reddick 8th, Eric Jones 9th, and Austin Dillon in 10th. Austin Cindric 11th, Daniel Suarez 12th, Justin Haley 13th, Ty Gibbs 14th, and 15th for William Byron. Denny Hamlin 16th, John Hunter Nemechek 17th, Bubba Wallace 18th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 19th, and Chase Briscoe 20th. 21st, Chris Buescher 22nd, Chase Elliott 23rd, Ryan Blaney 24th, and Christopher Bell 25th. 26th for Cole Custer, Todd Gillen 27th, Zane Smith 28th, Ross Chastain 29th, and Kyle Busch 30th. Joey Logano 31st, Ryan Preece 32nd, Riley Herbst 33rd, Ty Dillon 34th, Cody Ware 35th, Shane Van Gisbergen 36th, Jesse Love 37th, and Chad Fincham rounds out for practice. Top 5 specifically for Group 2 of the cars that are currently on the racetrack. Carson Hocevar will be first, then Noah Gragson second in the group, Kyle Larson third, Michael McDowell fourth, and Alex Bowman in 7th overall would be 5th for Group 2. Only 4 drivers. Check that, 3 drivers from Group 1 still remain in the top 10. That would be Allmendinger in 2nd, Barry 6th, and Eric Jones in 9th. And we'll look at the lap averages a little bit later on, almost halfway through Group 2. We'll highlight the Fantasy League. You can join on the NASCAR mobile app or NASCAR.com. If you're choosing the following, if you win our regular season, as you see right here on our screen from last week, so that is not my team for this week. So for those of you that are looking to copy it, feel free, because it's going to change quite a bit before tomorrow. But we'll take a look at the league standings. And Monster Jam X10 currently leads the way with 1,899 points, only 2 points ahead of Hercules Harrigan with 1,897. I'm sitting in 3rd place, only 9 points out of the lead, very tight at the top of the leaderboard right now. Evan 4848 is in 4th, 1881. Troy the Great in 5th, rounds out our top 5, 1872. Only 28 points separate 1st through 6th right now. Wide open. Again, you can join on the NASCAR mobile app and or at NASCAR.com website. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season. If you win our regular season and or playoff championship. League name is KRC League. It is free to sign up. All you need is your email, and if you do end up winning the season championship, to get those tickets, the only other thing, you have to be a subscriber of the channel, so definitely hit that subscribe button as well. We're on the road to 7,000, and we shall see when we are going to be able to get there. Stream glitching. You'll have to let me know, is it the audio or is it the visuals that might be on the glitching side? It might have been when I was going from one page to the next as well and not staying on the same screen. We were highlighting the Fantasy League there in the practice run. Let me know if it's still going on at all. 11 and a half minutes to go yet in the practice session. And Carson Hocevar is the quickest. AJ Allmendinger 2nd, Noah Gragson 3rd, Kyle Larson in 4th, and Michael McDowell rounds out the top 5 overall. Single car qualifying 1 round will be immediately after this practice session right here on this stream. Probably going to begin within about 5 to 10 minutes or so after the top of the hour. And I do have the list of the drivers who will qualify in their respected order. We're going to start things off in qualifying with Chad Fincham. One of the 2 open drivers this weekend will be in the 66 for MBM. Then our first chartered entry, Brad Keselowski, Cody Ware. Then the other non-chartered car of Jesse Love will be 4th. Ryan Preece will be the 5th car to qualify. And Joey Logano, Shane Van Gisbergen, John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher are the first 10 drivers that will make a lap. And the last driver that will go out and make a qualifying lap here today will be Kyle Larson for the 2nd consecutive qualifying session. Last week's winner, Austin Cindric, will be 3rd to last when he hits the racetrack. 10 minutes to go. We'll take another quick break. Again, you're listening live on KRC NASCAR Cup Series practice at Texas.
Chase Briscoe in that same boat. right? Like new team, new organization, nothing feels the same. Needs a little bit of time to get together, and we've seen both of them, Ty and Chase, have moments of really good success. So now it's just about finding that consistency.
But the difference with Joe Gibbs Racing is, yes, they've got a lot of Toyota money behind them, and they've got really good sponsors. But Joe Gibbs doesn't have the foundation that some of the other super team owners do, with a whole lot of industrial companies or 100+ car dealerships or things like that are able to support the racing operation. You know, Joe Gibbs is all in on racing, and that's it. That's what he does full time. Is his racing.
And I like that. We have a lot of great team owners, and a lot of them have those businesses, but so many of them they love to race. And when you can make especially a family business out of racing teams and the things that you have, you get to wear rings like that, you're having some success.
Now, was that a Cup championship ring? Was that a Super Bowl championship ring?
He probably just rotates them.
Okay.
I would.
He's got
You just rotate the Super Bowl and those championship rings, and you just put them on when you go somewhere that I guess you feel like you had the most success. And
there you go. Ricky Stenhouse in the lightest, brightest car in the field. It's his last 3 races. He's got a best finish of 9th here in 20 starts.
Yeah, and we've seen that sunny heat right on those cars a lot. I like the colors, Clint, because for a blind guy,
I know where it's at.
Yeah, I can find that car anywhere on the racetrack.
Can't find your car, but you can find his.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's all. I don't know. It's just too easy. Sorry, bud. Starting along with Bubba Wallace.
Last week at Talladega, all right, we were focused on the battle for the win, as we should be. But on that last lap, he was 20th at the white flag, and he wound up where, 11th at the checkered flag, 10th or 11th?
Yeah, 10th.
Yeah. Well, 10th after inspection?
Well,
10th at the checkered.
That's a good question.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Heck of a last lap. What happened, right?
Well, and it all started when Ty Dillon, who was in the top 10, suddenly the throttle work is out of gas, had to pull up to the top. That left a big hole, and along came Bubba.
Well, even though he had a great finish last week, we expect him to be in contention this week. He was in contention to win this race last year. Whatever reason, these cars, he and Tyler Reddick, they've adapted really well to this track, and we expect both of those cars to be in contention tomorrow.
I think the simulator adds up to it, right? I mean, all the preparation that goes into these racetracks, that's what you're attributing to, is going back and all right, where did our speed come from? Well, was it one team or was it the organization? When it's the organization, your computer sims dialed in, baby.
And you'll see that. Yeah, you'll see that. They have good laps, and that last lap was a 29.14, so he's hauling the metal right now. I've seen him as he come in and out in pits playing. You've got the graph up there, but I think to your point, Clint, those simulators, there's a lot of times that the teams will figure out in one place better than the other that goes right from the simulator to the racetrack that is able to adapt really well to the on-track performance of the car and relates really well. So some tracks not so much, and you learn that process as you go through the simulator and through the years. You know which tracks you need to say, hey, let's take that exact setup, and you learn which tracks you're like, I don't think that this is right or that is right. You adjust to that setup. So it's a very interesting process.
Now, the front row cars here are a little off and on. You see Noah Gregson third on the board, where Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith are 27th and 28th, respectively, in this practice. But Todd's finished 16th or better in 3 of the last 4 races. Kyle Larson back out, and we listened in.
And so what happens, that entrance into turn 3 is really flat. So you have 2 choices. You either lift early before the banking starts, but a lot of times in this car, you want to drive it into the banking But you can have two problems there. Sometimes if you drive it into the banking, the front end doesn't want to turn, so you have to lift earlier. So you definitely have some different lifting strategies as to where you let off in order to get the front end set over here.
You know, I can't believe I'm saying this, and will correct me when we go off the air, but I don't know that I agree with Cliff Daniels. This is the first time I've ever had this thought process. I know how dangerous this is, but I don't know that old Reddick's the fastest car. I think it's going to go there. But I think the fastest car is Ty Gibbs. Well, on a long run, especially.
And that could have been recorded very early in the session when Reddick was at the top of the list of contenders.
It's just interesting watching this graph, and we'll clean this up again after this one, just like we did in the first group. But these long runs and long run speed, some of that speed is broken up when a car pits. If he doesn't like it, like prime example, Kyle Larson right here, Cliff Daniels came in, made an adjustment. That is going to hurt the speed as far as you see it on paper. But what that driver feels, the balance that he has, those comments that Cliff told him to work on inside the race car can only be fixed and worked on if you come in and do so.
Yeah, I saw Kyle the last time he moved up, and wanted to see if there was anything outside of that. Definitely wasn't there yet.
And that's what I like about a driver like Kyle Larson. He's going to go give you that sensation and that quick thing is to be able to go back and saw that, what that feel like when he moved up there. Just putting that in the memory bank, move around a little bit, figure out where you need to be, because the bottom of the racetrack's where everybody's going to be. Eventually, you got to figure out how to pass somebody.
And what happens a lot of times, the car will start to get tight. When you miss that line when it's on the bottom of the racetrack, the car will start to get tight. That's when people start moving around to try to get that front end to turn, make that arc a little bit rounder through the corner in 1 and 2. And that's when that second lane starts to get burned in, when guys start struggling on the bottom. And the guys that are really good can wrap that line in 1 and 2. That was always where I would try to make my passes, was wrapping that line through 1 and 2, because those guys are off of the line on the exit of 2.
Dylan has 8 wins in the last 10 races here, including a win. Richard Silver's racing. Let's check with Larry.
Well, you see Carson Hosebarn at 77 miles fast. If you run a combined total of 29 laps, not bad on some of the long run stuff. But what he told Luke Lambert, I needed to rotate just a little better through the middle of the corner. 20-lap run. The razor blade you walked on here, is that means you need the front tires to grip. You don't want to unhook the rear tires at the speed you're running, and that can become quite the challenge. It's not keep on gripping the rear, just make those front tires grip better.
Yeah, and this was always a place where I always liked that rear bar hooked up and trying to make it as turny as possible in practice with that. The rear bar will give it just that sensation through the center of the corner that makes it want to rotate on its own. It can be a little bit uncomfortable in practice, but this is always a place where I wanted that rotation naturally with the race car, if you could stand it, just to be able to get it to rotate without depending on the front tire.
It's only going to get worse.
That's right.
With traffic.
All right, look. Oh, sorry. We're back to smart there. That Cole Custer car. Look at that car. Reminds you of who? Right there.
Well, it reminds me of Schrader.
Yep.
Kenny Schrader.
Ken Schrader.
Red Baron Pizza Bar, that 90. He's a couple years.
They sent me a picture of
School,
us racing at Lakeside in the modifieds together, and he was in the red Baron car. The red
Are you
Baron car.
sure it was us?
Wait, I'm not. No, I said I was.
Let me tell you something about this one night, Mike. My friend, Clint Boyer, I decided that I wanted to race dirt cars. And he says, hey, look, I don't feel like racing that. We go down and drive that dirt car. That was the dumbest mistake that I've ever made in my dirt racing career. I was awful at it. I went down there, spun out, made a complete fool out of myself.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, look, right there. Jack Daniels and Red Baron.
That's a combination.
What a fun guy he is. So he was up at Kyle Petty's charity ride, the annual event. See, they're taking off, started up in Michigan this year. Always a lot of fun to follow them. Does a great job raising awareness for the Victory Junction Game Camp.
Absolutely. Great event. If it's coming by you, go out and see it. Go out and wave them on.
I'm going to go to the other side of that, though. Not necessarily great out of Chase Elliott and this 9 car so far. On the speed chart, maybe we're working on long run speed. Never can count him out. By the way, won this race a year ago.
But that's his last win.
Well,
That's one since.
I was trying to
Be nice about it. I know.
No, that's
And I chopped
good
you
racetrack
off there, didn't
corner.
I?
I think he can get the job done, and I like the focus factor on this team. You know, if they don't have the upfront speed and takeoff speed, you really don't have to worry about that. That's going to come up here in just a minute.
They will grind it out, that's for sure.
Carson Hocevar wins practice over Allmendinger, Gregson, Larson, and McDowell, 4 Chevys, and 1 Ford in the top 5. Little Ricky Bobby flag right there. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, coverage continues on Prime Video with qualifying and underway shortly.
Yep, there you have it. Qualifying set to begin here shortly. We'll go through the full practice leaderboard. Carson Hocevar fastest overall, as he's been several times so far this season. AJ Allmendinger fastest from Group 1 is second fastest overall with the, overall lap time. Just over 1/10 of a second was the difference between Hocevar's fast lap and AJ Allmendinger's fast lap. Noah Gragson in third, Kyle Larson fourth, then Michael McDowell rounds out the top 5 in fifth, Josh Berry sixth, Alex Bowman seventh, Tyler Reddick eighth, Eric Jones ninth, and Austin Dillon rounds out the top 10. Austin Cindric in 11th, Daniel Suarez 12th, Justin Haley 13th, Ty Gibbs 14th, and William Byron 15th. 16th for Denny Hamlin, John Hunter Nemechek 17th, Bubba Wallace 18th, 19th for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Chase Briscoe in 20th. 21st, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher 22nd, Chase Elliott 23rd, Ryan Blaney 24th, and Christopher Bell 25th. 26th for Cole Custer, Todd Gilliland 27th, Zane Smith 28th, Ross Chastain 29th, and Kyle Busch 30th. 31st for Joey Logano, Ryan Preece 32nd, Riley Herbst 33rd, Ty Dillon 34th, Cody Ware 35th, Shane Van Gisbergen 36th, Jesse Luff 37th, and Chad Fincham rounds out her 38-car field in practice. Again, both 25-minute sessions are up. Single-car qualifying will begin shortly. 1 round for qualifying continuously for all 38 drivers. Each driver gets 1 lap. And the fastest time, obviously, to the the slowest time would be dictating the qualifying order. Or I should say the starting lineup for tomorrow's race. I made that way more confusing than it needed to be. Sorry for that. 3 Fords to kick things off. You can see our leaderboard. That will be the order in which they will qualify. And as usual, I'll take over for the qualifying side of things and drop some Texas track facts for each of these drivers and how they've performed over their careers, recent years with the next gen, and everything you need to know going into tomorrow's race for each individual driver in the field. Our first 10 drivers who will make a qualifying lap will be Chad Fincham, Brad Keselowski, Cody Ware, Jesse Love, Ryan Preece, then Joey Logano, Shane Van Gisbergen, John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Blaney, and Chris Buescher. Shane Van Gisbergen, in his portion of the practice session from Group 1, did get up against the wall a bit in Turn 2. I'd like to think he's still going to make a qualifying lap, but if for some reason there's something broke on the race car from the suspension side of things that he will not make a qualifying lap, we'll have to wait and see if that 88 car will post a lap. If not, he will end up starting at the rear tomorrow. And I believe they do lose a set of tires because obviously he did not qualify, so he's not able to use the scuff set that everybody else would have. Although tires, again, for tomorrow's race, not really going to be a big deal when you consider the fact that there's not a lot of fall off here at Texas Motor Speedway. We'll be live for today's NASCAR Xfinity Series race at 2 p.m. Eastern. The Cup race tomorrow will begin at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, but our Cup Series race coverage won't continue here on KRC until next week. On the live commentary side, there will be race highlight videos from the grandstands, as I'll be at the Texas Motor Speedway tomorrow, just as it was for the Cup race at Talladega last Sunday. And we'll have our usual setup going forward, obviously, when we get to tomorrow. As for today, we've got what we've got now, and here's Noah Gragson standing with Regan Smith.
The Rush Truck Center is number 4. This team, we ran good here last year with the number 10 car, and then coming back here just improving on stuff. Blake and Sturfer, the rest of the guys have been doing a great job, but this is my main guy, the Rusty Rush here. We got Rush coming on board this weekend, and we're racing for him and Jenny this weekend. So overall, I felt like we learned a lot that practice session. Hopefully, we just got to qualify. It's hard to pass here, so having track position is key, and we'll see you here in a little bit.
Good to see you guys down here smiling. Rusty down here with you. The cowboy hats, I like all the going on over here, Larry.
Regan, I don't have a cowboy hat, but I do have William Byron. William, 31 laps, 15th quickest. What do you think about this qualifying run coming up?
Yeah, I felt good about our car. Honestly, we just started in heavy traffic, so just with the way that everyone kind of blends in there. But yeah, I thought my balance was pretty good. I ran for a while. We made one small adjustment just to see what we could do differently there to try to get through 1 and 2 and kind of get the two ends a little bit closer. So qualifying is just going to take a lot of commitment. You're gonna have to be fast in 1 and 2, and that's really like off of 2. That's really gonna make your lap because most guys I think are gonna be wide open in 3 and 4. So it's just gonna be that kind of balance. But we'll see. Yeah, our Raptor Chevy I think is good, and just qualifying, is really important here. It's tough to pass for the lead, so you got to be up front.
Mike, not sure about this qualifying run, but you talked about his numbers on mile-and-a-half tracks. Remember, roughly 2 years ago, the 300th win for Hendrick Motorsports here by William.
All right, well, there you have it. Yeah, a lot of the Hendrick Motorsport drivers currently there have won at the Texas Motor Speedway. Alex Bowman, the only one that is not. Chase Elliott won here last season. William Byron the year before that. Kyle Larson back in 2021 had gotten a win at the Texas Motor Speedway in the last race with the Gen 6. He also won the All-Star race at Texas Motor Speedway in 2021 as well. Again, that being Kyle Larson. Quite a few viewers just tuning in here for the first time. Here today as practice wounded up. We're here for qualifying. Bradley Thomas, welcome to the stream. It's one of the newcomers in the chat. Getting set to begin shortly for single car qualifying. And again, Chad Fincham in the 66 for MBM will lead us off. Team running part-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. Numerous drivers have wielded that 66 this year. This will be the first start for Chad Fincham of 2025 in the NASCAR Cup Series. And he does have one other career Cup Series start at the Texas Motor Speedway, where he had finished in the 35th place position. And that race ended up taking place back in 2020. So 5 years since Fincham's last Cup start at Texas Motor Speedway to this weekend. $14 likes on our like counter. Goal of 50. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Again, we'll have our usual setup back next week. I was really hoping I could get the page updated to a horizontal version, I guess, to take up most of the screen on YouTube, but I'm still not able to do that. And screencasting from my phone on the go here with not having the usual setup. Next Cup race I'll be attending is going to be at the Michigan International Speedway, but that's close enough to where I live, so won't be on the road for the live commentary streams in the lead up to the Cup race that Sunday. The truck race and Cup practice and qualifying, which will be taking place Saturday on the channel, the weekend of the Michigan Cup date in June, will be from the original setup. Plan on going to Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400, kind of the same deal there. I live about 4 hours from Indy. I'll just drive there the day of the race in the morning, so not going to have one of these streams on the go until maybe Bristol, but there's a very high probability I'll end up being there all weekend anyway for the NASCAR action, so I don't think we'll have any live commentary streams. So just kind of a one-off this weekend with the way the live commentary setup is. Again, the usual setup will be back again next weekend. But we'll still be live in a little bit for the Xfinity Series race, which starts about 3 hours from now. Actually, about 2 hours from now. Keep getting my times mixed up with the time difference. Starts at 2 Eastern, which would be 1 o'clock local here. Probably have about an hour or so in between streams today. I'll have both of our diecast showings for this weekend during the Xfinity race, one at the end of Stage 1 and one at the end of Stage 2. I'll turn the camera on for a brief moment. Chad Fincham is currently rolling out on the racetrack with his warm-up lap as qualifying begins here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Who will be on the pole for tomorrow's race? Well, we know Fincham is going to have the top time initially, and I'm sure Brad Keselowski will take over the top time soon after that. Fincham had the slowest lap time overall in practice, as we usually see from the open drivers. They'll run every week and just don't have quite the same equipment. I believe Casey Mears was the last driver that wielded the 66 car for MBM this season, which took place at Martinsville last month. Fincham starts his timed lap. Or just finished his timed lap, excuse me. 29.833 for Chad Fincham, and now it is Brad Keselowski, who has never won at the Texas Motor Speedway, but he has finished runner-up 4 times in his Cup Series career. It's the longest active streak of any driver to finish inside the top 10 at Texas. 6 straight top 10s for him at Texas Motor Speedway. And for Keselowski's qualifying lap, he's easily going to take the top time. Again, Chad Fincham's lap time was a 29.833. As for Brad Keselowski, over a second faster. And he'll time in with a 28.635. And that lap by Keselowski was the fastest lap that anybody has ran today. That was even faster than Carson Hocevar's fast lap from practice. So with Keselowski only being the second car out on the track for qualifying, and that being the case, we might see somebody down in the very low 28s by the end. Cody Ware is now on the racetrack for Rick Ware Racing, driving the Arby's car once again. Scored his first career stage points last weekend at Talladega, where he finished 8th in Stage 1. This will be his third career Cup Series start at Texas. He has a career best here of 33rd, which was back in 2022. So yet to score a top 30 at this race. And we'll see if he can do it here this weekend for the 400-miler on Sunday. Second for Cody Ware on the speed charts, as he clocks in with a 28.941 in that position number 2. Our second of 2 open entries for the weekend is now on track. Jesse Love in the 62, making his second career NASCAR Cup Series start, first since Bristol a few weeks ago, before the off week for the Cup Series. That was with Richard Childress Racing in the 33, though this is Beard Motorsports in the 62. And this is the first time that Beard Motorsports has fielded a car for a NASCAR Cup Series race since before the COVID pandemic in 2020, so it's been a long time. Jesse Love qualified top 20 at Bristol several weeks back. And it looks like he is going to be second place of our first 4 qualifiers here in qualifying 28.934, just 0.07 of a second quicker than Cody Ware, who went just before him. Keselowski still first of our first 4 qualifiers. Keselowski has his first RFK teammate, though, to hit the racetrack just behind him in the qualifying order, and that would be the 60 of Ryan Preece. Preece was DQ'd last week after crossing the start-finish line in second at Talladega, as he ends up, unfortunately, finishing back second to last, 38th of the 39 starters last week. Preece's best finish at Texas is 12th, which came last season, and this will be his 9th career Cup Series start at Texas Motor Speedway, still looking for his first top 10. Best equipment he's probably been in his NASCAR Cup Series career, though, and he will qualify second just behind his teammate Brad Keselowski. 28.695, so about 0.06 of a second exactly behind Brad Keselowski. In the top 5. Another Ford on track, Joey Logano. A lot of Fords in the first group of qualifying here. Of these first 10 cars, only 3 of them are not Fords. Logano the first from Penske, and he is tracking to have the fastest lap thus far. Logano is a former Texas winner. He won here only one time, which came in 2014 in the spring race that season. And in his next-gen finishes at Texas, he finished second in 2022, 21st in 2023, and last season he finished 11th. Logano to the top of the speed charts by almost an exact tenth of a second, about 900ths. 28.545 for Joey Logano to take the top time, as you see that updating on our screen. Shane Van Gisbergen going to make a qualifying lap. This will be his first career Cup Series start at the Texas Motor Speedway. He scraped the wall off turn 2 in practice over a half hour ago, but he is still making a qualifying lap. It was a slight enough scrape, no major damage to the race car, and he is going to make a lap. Not going to be a very quick one, though. Looks like he's going to be in 6th place out of 7. 29.193 for SVG. And other than Chad Fincham, he's the only driver to have a lap time in the 29-second lap barrier rather than the 28. Our 8th driver to qualify will be John Hunter Nemechek for Legacy Motor Club. This will be his 5th career start at Texas Motor Speedway. His best finish was in 2019 in a part-time effort where he finished in the 21st place position with Front Row Motorsports. Nemechek almost scraping the wall up off of turn 2. It's hard to tell if he actually did or not. Using all the asphalt necessary, trying to get back into the gas as soon as he can, and he is tracking in the green to maybe take that top time away from Joey Logano. Falls back a bit off the exit of turn 4 and lost it entirely, just enough to slide in line second with a 28.554. So John Hunter Nemechek, second quickest in qualifying. He had it until the very end on Logano. Logano still has the top time. And Logano's teammate Ryan Blaney is now on track quickly as we roll through qualifying. Blaney's never won a points-paying race at Texas, but he did win the All-Star race in 2022. He has 8 top 10s in his last 11 Texas starts. He's led 548 laps since the spring race here of 2017. His best finish was second in a points-paid race, which came in the fall of 2018, that next season. He's been very good at Texas. Hasn't won a points race, but he has been fast. He's been fast on the mile-and-a-half tracks on the long-run speed. We'll see what kind of long-run speed he'll have tomorrow. He's quick on the short run for today as well. 28.511 top time. Ryan Blaney of our first 9 qualifiers. So Ryan Blaney will be in position number 1. Joey Logano second. And they are the current front row after 9 drivers have made a qualifying lap so far. Our next 9 drivers to qualify will be Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, Justin Haley, Riley Herbst, Ty Dillon, and Josh Berry, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, and AJ Allmendinger. We'll take our first break of the qualifying portion of this live commentary stream. You're listening live on KRC. Margaret Sweet, welcome to the stream. Got 15 likes so far. And if you are new to the channel, this is not our usual setup. Screen will be much wider. Camera will be on going forward for these live commentary streams. Just a one-off this weekend. Still trying to pump these live commentary streams on the go. I'm currently in Houston, Texas. A vacation, and I will be at the Texas Motor Speedway Sunday for tomorrow's Cup race. So race highlight videos from the grandstands will be up, just like with last weekend's Cup race at Talladega. And the reason why we had our usual setup is because I didn't leave for Dega until Saturday night after the Xfinity race. I had a 10-hour drive ahead of me. Luckily, I only have 4 hours to get to Texas Motor Speedway tomorrow, so it's much more doable to just get that done in the morning rather than having to leave late tonight. And the race starts a little bit later than the Dega race did last week, so that's also nice. Back on the road. I should be getting back to Ohio on Wednesday. Or Tuesday sometime. I got to be back into work on Wednesday. So just enjoying the last few days of vacation. Regan Smith is standing with Chase Elliott as we'll get an interview.
We feel the temperature's getting hotter. How much of a challenge is it from the driver's seat to adjust to where you think the grip level is going to be?
Well, we just got done practicing about 10 minutes ago, so I don't necessarily think it's going to change a ton in that amount of time. And looking at the lap times, pretty similar, right? It wasn't a huge pickup from like Ryan and the 22 there. So at least from a couple of the guys that I saw go. So kind of interesting. I'm sure it'll get faster as we go. It seems like it always does for the guys in the second round. So we'll, see if we can't get our NAFA 100 Chevy a good starting spot for tomorrow.
Definitely a beautiful race car out there. Mike in person looks even better than on camera.
Chris Buescher out of Prosper, Texas, about 50 minutes from the Texas Motor Speedway, making his qualifying lap at his home track. He's tracking in the green by over 1/10 of a second to what Ryan Blaney put down before the commercial break. As for Chris Buescher, he has yet to score a top 10 finish, as I mentioned during the practice session at his home track here at Texas Motor Speedway. This will be his 16th career start at Texas. His best finish before that was in 2023, where he finished 14th. But he set down a very fast qualifying lap, over 2/10 quicker than Ryan Blaney, a 28.309 to put Buescher to the top of the charts. So back-to-back drivers that set the current fastest qualifying time. Christopher Bell trying to make it 3 in a row. As for Bell, his last 3 starts at Texas, 34th, 4th, and 17th with the next-gen car, so kind of all over the map. His best career finish came with a third-place run 2 times, including one of which back in 2020 in the fall of his rookie season. Second for Christopher Bell as he crosses a stripe with another 28.3. It's a 28.356. Big pickup post-commercial break between Buescher and Bell, but Buescher has the top time. Justin Haley for Spire Motorsports is up next. His best career finish is also 3rd place at Texas. That came with the next-gen car and his colleague racing run in the number 31 back in 2022, where he finished, again, in P3. Next-gen finishes for Haley 3rd, 14th, and 24th at Texas through the last 3 seasons. Obviously, those are all points-paying races, not counting the All-Star race of 2022 or the All-Star Open for those drivers in the field. Great qualifying lap for Haley. We've seen some good laps out of Spire Motorsports. His teammate Carson Hocevar was quickest in practice overall. Haley picking up on that, although not being in the top 10 in practice. He is up to 2nd of our first 12 qualifiers in single-car qualifying. 28.336 was the lap time laid down by Justin Haley. Riley Herbst will be making his first career Cup start at the Texas Motor Speedway this weekend, and he is currently on track. He's the first of the 3 2311 Toyotas to hit the racetrack, and I believe he will be the 3rd Toyota entirely to hit the track in qualifying. 13th driver to qualify. As Herbst rounds his way up off of turn 4, he's not going to get the top time, but he does look to settle inside the top 5. And his lap time will come in 4th quickest. 28.447. So everybody on this side of the commercial break after the first 9 drivers that qualified following Ryan Blaney have had a faster lap than the then fastest time of Blaney. So Ryan already bumped back to 5th. Ty Dillon is up next for colleague racing. 13th career start for Ty Dillon at Texas. His best finish is also 13th, which came in 2018 in the spring. That was with Germain Racing in the number 13 car, with the Gen 6 car as well. Pretty good lap for Ty Dillon, also quicker than Blaney. 28.475. 5th place. Yeah, I believe those Penske duo, RFK duo, they're going to be starting deep in the field. Well, maybe not Chris Buescher, but Keselowski, Logano, Blaney, I think they're going to be starting deep in the field. Those lap times don't look like they're going to hold based off of what we've seen so far. Not sure why that would be the case exactly. The track temps continuing to grow through qualifying. Penske affiliate there for the Wood Brothers, Josh Berry, is now on track. Berry was 2nd fastest of the Group 1 cars in practice, and he was 6th overall. He's going to set the fastest lap time of anybody so far, 28.232 for Josh Berry. Fastest time of our first 15 qualifiers. This will be the second career start at Texas for Berry. His only start came last season in his rookie year, where he finished 36th with the DNF. And speaking of DNF, Kyle Busch is on the racetrack. Got in a wreck last week. He did finish the race, but he didn't have a good finish. He has had good finishes at Texas Motor Speedway in the past, where he has won here 4 times through his NASCAR Cup career, most of any active driver. Though he has 2 DNFs in the 3 Texas next-gen starts, his best next-gen finish would have came last season, where he ended up in 9th. As he wraps up his qualifying lap, 8th for Kyle Busch, 28.541. I don't think that's going to hold for a very good lap either. It looks like Busch might be starting towards the back half of the field once we get deeper into the qualifying order. Eric Jones, the last of the 2 Legacy Motor Club Toyotas to hit the racetrack. Jones was top 10 in practice overall, 9th, 3rd of his group that went out for qualifying. It's been a great track for Eric Jones in his Cup Series career. He's got 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s in his career at Texas Motor Speedway. His best finish is 4th, where he finished in that position 3 different times. Rounds up his qualifying lap, and it's a pretty good one. Just over a 10th of a second off our fastest lap so far, 28.333. 3rd place for Eric Jones out of 17 qualifiers. AJ Allmendinger, who was fastest in Group 1 in practice, is now going to set his fast lap for qualifying, seeing if he can match anything close to it. Although the speeds have been way quicker in qualifying than what we saw in practice, so if he does match something similar, I guess he's not going to be anywhere near the top of the speed charts. Everybody from Ryan Preece and 13th on up in qualifying have already set a faster lap than Hocevar and Allmendinger did from the top 2 times in the practice session. As for AJ's got 2 career top 10s at Texas Motor Speedway. Both were 10th place finishes, which is his best of his Texas Cup Series career. 2nd for Allmendinger, 190.975 mile per hour average for AJ. Very fast lap. So again, 2nd place, pretty solid. And on to Zane Smith, who had the pole last weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, trying to go for the pole 2 weeks in a row. Front Row Motorsports, his best finish at Texas, 24th, which was in 2023. He's had just 2 Cup starts here, 24th and 26th place in each of his 2 Texas starts. It's not going to be the pole, but it's going to be a pretty solid lap, all things considered, for the Front Row Motorsport Ford. Zane Smith, 4th in qualifying with a 28.325. And by the way, that Allmendinger lap just before was a 28.275. Great lap, and his teammate Todd Gilliland is going to be up next. It'll be the 4th career start for Todd Gilliland at Texas. His best finish of his first 3 starts, 28th back in 2022. So not a great track for Todd so far through his Cup Series career. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Qualifying coverage continues for the Wurth 400 at Texas Motor Speedway right here on KRC. We'll take a quick break and we'll get into the back half of qualifying shortly. It is really amazing how quickly they blow through qualifying. Single car used to be 2 laps back in the day for the longest time. Kind of abbreviated it to 1 lap, and now instead of 2 rounds, it's 1 round. We just started qualifying about 20 minutes ago. We're already halfway done. Gilliland will be the 20th car to make a lap in the session. Got 2 more Fords. After Gilliland will be Cole Custer, then Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Michael McDowell will be the back 5 of this next 10. It's again a 38-car field for this weekend's NASCAR Cup race. Had quite a few open entries throughout the course of the season so far. Larry McReynolds is standing with Tyler Reddick for an interview.
In practice, looks like the going rate, you're going to have to go out there and pick up about 4/10, maybe a half a second.
That's fine. I think our Jordan brand crystals, Jordan Camry is capable of it. So, it's always a tough thing to do. When you go out there, you set a pace in practice, and then, you're able to pick it up so much. You only have one lap to do it. Really, one corner to get it right. So, yeah, we'll just see what it brings. The confidence side, though, our car was really, really good in both ends of the racetrack in practice. We're able to make some good adjustments and understand kind of where our balance needs to be for the race on Sunday. So we'll go out there, give it our best shot. But yeah, it seems like car's gonna have a good shot at it.
Well, speaking of getting it done on Sunday, he got it done on Sunday back in 22, his first oval win at Texas here a couple of years ago.
Only Toyota in the next-gen car to get a win at Texas Motor Speedway. The only non-Hendrick Motorsport driver to get a win at Texas in the last 4 seasons as well on this mile-and-a-half racetrack. As Todd Gillen wraps up his qualifying lap, it looks like he's going to be middle to back of the pack. 15:28.659 for Todd Gillen. And after he wraps up next will be Cole Custer. Custer in the Red Baron car this weekend. Surprised he doesn't have the Andy's Frozen Custard car this weekend, and the reason why I say that is because that will be the title sponsor for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. For this weekend, we've seen him with that sponsorship in the past. We will see that on the 00 of Sheldon Creed's car later on today in the Xfinity Series race. 14th is the best finish of Cole Custer's career at Texas, and that was in 2020. This will be his 5th career start at the racetrack. His finishes range of 19th, 14th, 35th, and 39th in the 4 starts. Custer finishes his qualifying lap in the 8th place position. Lap time of a 28.47 for Cole Custer. Up next will be Ty Gibbs. Gibbs has yet to score a top 10 in his first 3 career starts at Texas Motor Speedway. His finishes range of 20th, 33rd, and 13th, all with the next-gen car. 20th, obviously, in 2022 would have been in a part-time effort at 2311 Racing, the last 2 with JGR in his first 2 full-time Cup seasons. Gibbs was very quick in practice, and he was very quick so far in qualifying. Top time by 3/1000ths of a second over Josh Berry, 28.229 for Ty Gibbs. He did get 2 poles last season on mile-and-a-half racetrack, so we shall see if he is going to be able to get a mile-and-a-half track pole here today. That's a very fast time for Gibbs. So I got all 4 Hendrick Chevys to go yet. A few more JGR Toyotas that could take that top time down. Ross Chastain, who has struggled to qualify really for most of last year and most of so far this season in 2025, is struggling on his lap. As for Ross Chastain, his best career finish at Texas was a runner-up in 2023, where he finished 2nd, 13th, 2nd, and 32nd in the all 3 next-gen starts for points-paying races. He also DNF'd in the All-Star race here in 2022 with the next-gen for a wild crash on that Sunday night. So 17th for Ross Chastain with a 28.658. Denny Hamlin is now on track. Former Texas winner. He's won here 3 times. 2nd most of any active driver. His 3 next-gen finishes, 10th, 5th, and 30th, with his last 3 starts at Texas Motor Speedway. He's got a good qualifying lap going for him right now. Not going to be a pole time, but he's going to be up inside the top 5 with ease. 3rd, 28.247 for Denny Hamlin in the Progressive Toyota. Leading up now to Chase Briscoe. Wrong Chase. Chase Briscoe, teammate of Denny Hamlin, will be up. Briscoe's the only driver to have a top 10 in all 3 next-gen starts at Texas Motor Speedway, other than Brad Keselowski, who has the most consecutive top 10s at Texas of 6. But again, top 10 in all 3 next-gen races for Briscoe here. And his best finish of those was a 5th place run in 2022. It's his only top 5 at Texas. Had some good runs at times this season, has been lacking consistency on the race finishing results. Not quite as good at qualifying as his teammates Gibbs and Hamlin. 12th for Briscoe, 28.448. Now on track is Austin Dillon, who was a former Texas winner. Kind of forget that he has won a Cup Series race at Texas, but he did. It was the summer race of 2020. Pit strategy win there, taking the right side tires only. Everybody else ended up taking 4 behind him. Was able to lead those final nearly 40 laps to win. A 1-2 finish at the time for RCR, him and rookie Tyler Reddick that season. And he had a good run here last year as well, where Dillon finished in 8th in the fall. So an 8th place run last year for Austin Dillon at Texas. A win here in 2020. We'll see what he's got in store for tomorrow. Better qualifying lap than his teammate Kyle Busch. 10th with a 28.381 for Austin. And now it is Daniel Suarez. Suarez was 5th in the Texas race last season with a top 5 run. His best career finish here was in 2019 with Stewart Haas Racing. He finished 3rd in both of the races there that season. It's going to be right around his teammate Ross Chastain, maybe a little bit better than him in qualifying by a couple tenths, but well outside the top 10. And as Ross Chastain crosses the stripe, Daniel Suarez crosses the stripe, it's going to be 16th, 28.531 for Daniel Suarez. Again, 16th place for him. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s best career finish at Texas, 9th place 2023, 2 years ago with JTG Doherty Racing. We'll see what he does in qualifying here today.
So, we see the 47 car there go into the corner. Ty gets way deeper into the corner, and that's the balance that we talk about. How deep do I drive it in the corner? How much can I push? And you see the biggest difference right there that we've seen over the last few cars between the 54 and the 47. But that outside sign, the hash marks, because you cannot see the apex of that corner. Those are your references as lip points and where you are on the racetrack.
And Sonny D Chevrolet at Stenhouse, the first car that is slower in qualifying the practice East 24. All right, look at this clip. Got one right. How about that?
Commercial break currently airing on Amazon Prime Video. We're getting to the end of qualifying. Just 10 more drivers have to make a lap. And our next driver out will be Michael McDowell in the 71 for Spire Motorsports. Noah Gregson will be after him, followed by Tyler Reddick, Carson Hocevar, Bubba Wallace. Then Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric, William Byron, Kyle Larson will be the final 5. All 4 Hendrick drivers will be in the final 5 to qualify. Austin Cindric, last week's winner at Talladega, will be mixed in there as well. Larson, the last driver to make a lap for the 2nd consecutive week, and may have a very good shot of trying to go for yet another career pole at the Texas Motor Speedway. He won from the pole back in 2021. His only career win in a points-paying race at this track. Best career finish for Michael McDowell, who will be the next qualifier, is 11th in 2022. He has won top 10 in his last 20 starts on mile-and-a-half racetracks. As stated from Mike Joy in practice a little bit ago when we were listening to some of the broadcasts then. Why do I use TV and radio? Well, I don't use radio, and I use the TV broadcast at times. It's mostly my own. Space Cowgirl, welcome to the stream. From Texas, there you go. Welcome in. Michael McDowell about to fire off for qualifying. Again, 10 drivers still to go.
But if you're not turning, you dump the throttle. And you see this, the arc of the wall. You see how that wall is. The wall tells you the story of the racetrack. Well, they've moved this banking down. They made the racetrack wider. So the old racetrack was probably somewhere right in there, about a lane up.
Probably follow that.
And now it's so wide. When you get to this sign going into turn one, you can't see the apex of the corner. So you have to use
Which is clear over here.
Yeah, you have to use these hash marks and signs and things as reference points to get the car where you need it to be.
So those dotted lines, you're 3 lanes down the straightaway, and then they have it striped for 4 lanes in the corner.
And that's how much wider they made the racetrack when they redid the corner down here. They knocked some of the banking. They knocked the banking. They just made the track
Moving it
wider.
down did knock the banking.
Yeah. So that it changed the angle of that corner, but very, very difficult corner because this racetrack is fast, but the timing of where you lift and where you turn dictates where you are on the racetrack in the middle, which in qualifying right here dictates the whole lap.
We talk about the exit of turn 2. It's all started in turn 1.
Michael McDowell straight line all the way to the finish line. 2022.
Got it. Wow.
He was 5th in practice. He picks up 2.5 tenths. Top of the board by 6 1/1000ths of a second.
Great lap, Michael McDowell.
The Delaware Light Chevy. Here's the Rush Truck Center.
Got a lot of speed, a lot of confidence in practice. Do not overdrive this car.
3rd in practice with a 28.42. Looking for his first top 20 start at Texas, and he should get it here.
I think that's what I saw right there, Kevin. Got off into turn 1 really hard and low and paid the price on the end.
Well, the thing that, as we watch Noah finish his lap right here,
Solid 11th, 28.36. Picked up not quite a tenth.
yeah, and the thing that we need to pay attention to, Michael McDowell is a great qualifier, but that Carson Hocevar car, and this car right here, will be fast as well. But Hocevar, he was fast in practice, so I'm interested to see what he does when he goes in it. But he'll have to beat this one, I would say, as well.
Tyler Reddick and the Jordan Brown Toyota. A winner here in September 22. Second best all-time average finish at this track. Started top 10, 3 of the last 4 races here.
Yeah, not as close to the pole as I expected him to be. It's going to be kind of an average run there for Reddick, but we expect him to contend in the race.
Reddick seemed to be a little bit behind on his practice sheet along with his teammate Bubba Wallace compared to what we would usually see out of those two at the Texas Motor Speedway in recent years. Michael McDowell, though, 28.222, has the fastest time so far. His teammate Carson Hocevar is currently on the racetrack. Michael McDowell, after he went, was Noah Gregson. Gregson, his best finish at Texas in his Cup career, 18th. This will be his 3rd career Texas start. 4th last year for Tyler Reddick. He did have a win in 2022. And Carson Hocevar finished 10th last season at Texas. His best career finish of his first 2 starts at this racetrack. And he is going to put his car to the top of the speed charts next, following his teammates. So how about that? Spire Motorsports locking out the front row so far. A 28.174, and can Carson Hocevar get his first career pole in the NASCAR Cup Series? There are just 6 more drivers that Hocevar is going to have to wait to see if they can beat him in qualifying. Bubba Wallace is currently on the racetrack, and he is trying to be the first of which to do so. Wallace will be the final Toyota to hit the track in qualifying today. His best finish was 3rd here 2 seasons ago in 2023. As he crosses the start-finish line, he is not going to get the pole time away from Carson Hocevar, but a much better lap than his teammate Tyler Reddick. 6th for Wallace, 28.249. 4 Hendrick Chevys and a Penske Ford of Austin Cindric still to go. The first Hendrick Chevy will be Alex Bowman, who is currently on the track. He's finished 5th twice at Texas. Those are his only 2 career top 5s. Those are his best runs. He was 37th last year with a DNF. He also had an injury at Texas Motor Speedway in 2022. Had a concussion, which took him out for a few races, so he hasn't had 2 kind of runs at Texas with the next-gen car. Hasn't been good to him, both from a health standpoint and a getting to the finish standpoint. Decent qualifying lap for Bowman, 8th. We'll see if that holds for a top 10 spot here shortly as we're towards the end of qualifying. 28.284 for Bowman. Chase Elliott, who is the defending winner of this race. It was the last time he was in victory lane in a NASCAR Cup Series car. It's been a full calendar year. We'll see if he can get it done. 5 of his 7 career top 10s at Texas came before the 550 package with the Gen 6 car. He has only had 2 top 10 finishes at Texas since in the last 8 races. So really looking to turn his luck around. Although he has a win here last season, consistency has not been great for him at Texas Motor Speedway since 2019. And not a great qualifying lap in comparison to his teammate either. 26 for Chase Elliott, 28.587, and Hocevar has just 3 drivers to hold on to try to get this pole. No other Penske Ford is in the top 10, so for Austin Cindric, I don't really know what to expect out of him here, but we'll see what he can do. Cindric has not finished in the top 10 in his first 3 career Texas starts. His best finish was in 2022 of his rookie season, where he ended up 15th. Obviously a winner last week at Talladega, locking himself into the playoffs. He does have a pretty good qualifying lap going for him so far as he enters turn 3. He's within a few hundredths of a second of the pole time. And he has a good exit to turn 4. It's going to be close, but he's not going to get it. He'll break up the Spire Motorsports on the front row, but he's not going to knock Hocevar off the pole. Great lap by Cindric, 28.194, much better than his teammates who went out early in qualifying of Brian Blaney and Joey Logano. His Penske affiliate Josh Berry, as of now, is still in the top 5 and 5th. And here comes William Byron. 2 poles already for Byron this season at Phoenix and Darlington. We'll see if he can get it done on a 1.5-mile track for the first time. Byron, a former Texas winner in 2023, and he has 3 top 3 finishes in his last 4 starts at Texas as well. He's tracking in the green as he exits turn 4, headed for the start-finish line. Now falls down into the red on the indicator on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, the lap tracker, if you will, and Hocevar holds on narrowly again. Second place for Cindric. He gets bumped by Byron, who also is second. They're chipping away at Hocevar's lap time, but nobody's been able to beat it yet. 28.188 for Byron. 1 qualifier to go, and that would be Kyle Larson. Larson's only win at Texas in a points-paying race in 2021. He also won the All-Star race that season. He's led for 451 laps in the last 4 Texas races, most of any driver. He has 2 career poles at Texas, looking for his 3rd. And as he works his way through turns 3 and 4, he's gaining time on Carson, but it's not going to be quick enough. And Carson Hocevar will get his first career pole in the NASCAR Cup Series. 4th for Kyle Larson as he crosses the stripe with a 28.209. What a lap. And the driver from Portage, Michigan, in his 2nd full-time season in the NASCAR Cup Series, is going to get his first career pole. It'll be a 2nd front row start of the season and the 3rd of his career.
Just you backed it up in qualifying. I imagine this has got to be a great day for you.
Yeah, it's really big. It's really big for these guys. You know, it's super impressive for what they've been able to do. You know, this is the same group on pit road, off pit road, at the shop. Everybody working on 77 is exactly the same as I started here at Spire last year. And they were a lot of the same guys that were, you know, in the thick of it. So it's just huge where we've been able to bring this team, and you know, Chili's coming on board, being able to ride the Dead Tay, and you know, having the cowboy outfit right is you know, what better place to get on a pole. I'm normally so hard on myself, and I still didn't think I nailed that lap at all, but yeah, super proud of this team, and proud because I've never been number 1 pit stall, and I've had a lot of issues with pit road. We've had a lot of bad luck, so I finally get number 1 pit stall, so I'm pumped about that.
Guys have really been carrying some momentum the past couple of weeks. You talk about that pit stall. You'll have track position on a racetrack that it can be very challenging tomorrow, especially side by side. How much is that going to factor into your day tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. You know, whether you're doing 2, 4, or few only at times, right? Just knowing we're going to have open out is going to be really important, really crucial. That hasn't been what we've been able to do, and we've had a lot of fluke stuff. I mean, even on the truck, having the alternator go bad when we're running 2nd. This eases that pain a little bit. But yeah, I love racing, love driving for Jeff Dickerson, Spire Motorsports, everybody with TWG, everybody that makes this happen, Aaron Ziegler, Aaron Bieber, Williams contracted, everybody that just helps make this thing go around. There's so many people to thank, but yeah, I'm excited to be able to lead my first ever Cup race to the green.
All right, enjoy this one overnight. Larry Mack, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm with William Brown outside of the front row. William, I don't even know how you quantify a 10th of a second at a 1.5-mile racetrack. Did you get everything you had there?
I don't know. I feel like I got through. I felt a little slow coming to the green, and I was like, man, I don't know why. Like whether I just didn't get off pit road as good or what. And then I cut the front stretch. And I had a little bit of a different line into one, and felt like I hit 1 and 2 pretty good. I was just like right on the edge of being too tight, and then 3 and 4 was wide open. And I just, it's 100, so I knew I had a good lap. I was just like. I saw a 179. I'm like, he told me a 17 before I went out, so I'm like, it's probably not enough. So just appreciate all the guys on the 24. They did a great job today. We've been good on the 1.5 miles, obviously, and just trying to dial in our race balance and feel like we're really close. We kind of weird practice with starting in traffic, but I think our Raptor Chevy's capable of winning, so we just gotta keep it up front all day.
Yeah, Mike, I stand corrected. I guess I've been hanging out with Clint too much. Not 1/10 of a second. I guess it's more like 100th of a second difference.
Pretty close, Larry. 14 1,000ths of a second, first to second. 2 Chevrolets on the front row.
And we'll go through the rest of the starting lineup after that front row right here on screen. Carson Hocevar again with his first career pole. You got William Byron outside of the front row starting in second as a former Texas winner. In row number 2 will be Austin Cindric and Kyle Larson. Larson, the winner of 2021 here, and Cindric, the winner last week at Talladega. Row number 3 will be Michael McDowell with Ty Gibbs. Row 4 for Josh Berry, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin, a former Texas winner here, 3-time winner, in fact. Bubba Wallace and A.J. Allmendinger in row number 5. Row 6 for Alex Bowman and Texas native Chris Buescher. Zane Smith, Eric Jones in row 7. Row 8, Justin Haley, Christopher Bell. Tyler Reddick, who is the 2022 winner of this race, and Noah Gragson make up row 9. Row 10 for Austin Dillon, who was a winner here in 2020, and Cole Custer, who had his best finish of his Texas career that same season. Riley Herbst with Chase Briscoe make up row 11. Row 12 for Ty Dillon and Ryan Blaney. Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch in row 8. Row 9, Joey Logano and John Hunter Nemechek. Row number, did I say row 9? Row 14, Joey Logano and John Hunter Nemechek. Row 15 will be Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski. Row 16, Ross Chastain, Todd Gilliland. Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Row 17, Jesse Love, Cody Ware. Row 18, Shane Van Gisbergen and Chad Fincham will round out the field for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series race at Texas. Again, I'll be at Texas Motor Speedway for the Cup Series race specifically, so there will be race highlights from the grandstands. One more stream still to go here this weekend on the road. Again, similar setup for later today. Apologize for that, but we will be back to our usual setup next weekend, and we will be live at 2 p.m. Eastern, just over 1 hour from now, for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Andy's Frozen Custard 300 at Texas Motor Speedway. So appreciate it as always. Be sure to stay tuned for more coverage here in a little bit. And I'll see you soon, everybody. Thanks for watching.